All right, cool beans. All right, so I'm ready to rock and roll. So right now I'm in Capture One. Fix my mic a little bit. And this is the image that I'm going to be working on. I'm gonna take it all the way to final. First I'm gonna color grade it in RAW in Capture One. If you've never used that program, it's amazing. Both for its ability to tether to your camera so that you can have a live feed on your computer. So you and yourself, or you and the model rather, can actually go and see what I see when I'm behind the camera, but we could do it in real time. So basically I pull the shutter, and then almost instantaneously it goes to the computer so that the model can see what I'm seeing and have reference. Anyway, so yeah, this is Capture One. It's basically a heavy-duty raw editing piece of software that I use, and I always use this right before I take it into Photoshop. So just kind of get it or the image as a base where I want it before I take it in. So what I'll be doing is, let's see, let's go find that real quick. Where did it go? All right, let's see. There it is. Cool. All right, so what I'm going to do essentially is I'm going to clone this variant. So I have the original, and then I have a second one, so I can compare and make sure. Sometimes when you work on something too long, you'll either get excited about it, or you'll just kind of space out and you end up taking it further than you intended to. So it's good to have the original to see what the contrast is, because when I'm in Capture One, I'm making very subtle changes. So right now, contrast, when I do contrast and I jack that down to about -15, I think that's pretty much in my workflow. For the most part, sometimes I do like a -10, like if I'm shooting a male or something like that, I'll make it more contrasty, just because, I don't know, the look on that particular person just suits it. But this is using very, very soft light. And I don't mind it at all. So I'm gonna go -15 on that. So I really, really like how soft all the colors are. They're very, very close to gray. Um, so not saturated really at all. So this is going to be a very, very soft image. Um, I'm not concerned about the brightness at all. So sometimes when I do tweak the exposure or the brightness, usually I get it pretty much on point at a camera. But nevertheless, what I like to do if I run a little bit hot at a camera, or if I'm right at perfectly exposed, I'll turn on this little triangle with an exclamation point. And what that is going to do is it's going to make red anything that I blow out. So anything that goes to where it clips into white, so it's overexposed, it's going to show me that and give me a warning. And the problem with that, like when you have like just pure white in an image, is there's no color information or texture information whatsoever. There's just no information in it. So definitely want to avoid that. So I'm not going to mess with the exposure or the brightness at all. It's just not necessary. I don't think I need to really play with dynamic range at all, but I might. So I almost like playing with the highlights and moving those in. I almost like that I get this dimensionality to where she pops up off like the background. So this creamy kind of shawl that she's wearing, or I still don't know what the hell these things are called. I need to go figure that out. But anyway, this right here, this white is more like of a creamy color, right? But like it popping off of the background, like I'll separate that in Photoshop anyway. Like this will be not a white background in Photoshop, but if I go and bring out the dynamic range and the highlights a little bit, it really gets that kind of creamy color. I've also noticed that her face kind of gets dimensional as well. So I don't feel that this is a flat image at all. I think it's very three-dimensional, even though it's got extremely soft shadows. Super, super cool. But I do like the dynamic range, so I might play with that. Yeah, I think I'm going to play with that. All right, so and this is what I was talking about with having the cloned variant. This is the original, and I could toggle between the two of them and make sure that I'm not overdoing it, which is just extremely useful. All right, so that's going to work with that. I'm not going to work with levels at all. Levels you can play with, like RGB, play with that sort of thing. You can move it on the highlights as well as on the darks. You can also go up top and kind of make the image more flat if you want. You could do the same thing with each channel, so red, green, and blue, but I'm not going to mess with that today. I think just at a camera, it's just really stunning, and I really like how subtle all the colors are on her flesh tones and on her hair. I really don't want to damage that at all. So what I'm going to do is go into color balance. So basically this is going to be a universal color grade, so it's going to apply to the whole image. When I get into Photoshop, it'll be more luminosity masking. So basically it's going to be color grading, but it's with very refined masks, to where I can be very selective about kind of the changes that I'm doing. Again, I really enjoy this at a camera, so if I do anything at all, it'll be very, very subtle. So what I did is in the master is I brought it a little bit warmer, um, just as a whole. So in your yellows to reds, basically. In the shadows. So right now I'm just kind of using my eye. So there's no real science to it. There's no quick fix. There's no shortcut or magic button. Really, I'm just playing with stuff. I'm staying close to medium gray. I'm not going anything like saturated, like I don't want to play with any of this. But close to medium gray, and see if I can introduce a color to the shadows that is lovely on her skin and lovely on her hair. And I still like how it is at a camera, so I'll move to the midtones. I do like that slight shift. What that essentially did is made her slightly more 3D, but at the same time it didn't blow anything out. And then let's see if I want to introduce anything to the shadows. What I like about this color balance in Camera Raw is it gives me more colors to work with when I get into Photoshop, and it means I don't need to do like color overlays or anything like that, because I have a range of color in the shadows, the highlights, and in the midtones. So if we go, that's out of camera. That's what I brought it to. So this is, even though I'm using super soft light, it's still contrasty. You could see it in her hair. You could see it from, you know, her form to the background, or her entire silhouette to the background. In this area. Whereas right here, it's even softer, but at the same time, you have like a richer color to it. So anyway, that's all I'm going to do in Capture One. I might do one more thing. Let's play with white balance really quick. And see if we want to play with that at all. So, yeah, cool. Yeah, I pretty much dig it right off the bat. All right, so what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to right-click, and then basically I'm going to edit, and then I'm going to edit with Photoshop. That's going to throw a prompt up. I'm going to be working in a TIFF. It gives me the most color information as far as I understand currently in my development. It's going to give me 16 bits, which gives me the most available colors. I could go to 8 bits, but I have less, I believe dynamic range, but definitely colors. I'm not going to compress it. I'm going to use Adobe RGB. My resolution is going to be 300, and that way if I ever want to print this, I don't have to do that. I'd rather go from print resolution down to 72 pixels per inch, basically, for the web and I don't know, Instagram and social media and stuff like that. I'd rather down resolution than have to like, oh, I really want to print this and stuff like that, have to go up in resolution. So I'm going to go with 300. I think it would be DPI as far as print resolution, but it's under pixels. All right, cool. Scale is fixed. And metadata, that pretty much is like your copyright information, any of your stuff that you put in like into the actual file of the actual photograph. And then adjustments, I'm going to respect the crop. Sharpening, I'm going to disable all. I don't want it to be tampered with at all. So I'm going to open that up, and I'll see you in Photoshop in just a second. wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Huh. I don't know if it's because I'm streaming, but my computer usually doesn't take this long to get in here. So let's see. And here we go. It's finally opening. Yay! I always love technology until it's like not going as fast as my mind wants it to go. And then it's just like, but who am I to complain? Cool. All right, so we're in Photoshop. And this is the base image. So I'm going to fit it to screen. First thing that I always do is Control J. That's pretty much going to duplicate the background layer. I'm going to rename it. Background copy. And the reason that I'm going to do that is I'm about to use an action that's basically an automated workflow that I use for frequency separation. So how that's going to work is I'm going to go over here. I have a whole bunch of actions that I've collected over the years between doing 3D and digital art and renders and, I don't know, photography of different types and different genres. This right here is my frequency separation that I use most often. So I'm going to hit play. And what that's going to do is it's going to automate a workflow for me to where it's got a folder setup and a layer setup that I can use, and it's basically very, very quick. So if you can automate things that are menial tasks that you do frequently, definitely automate them. And I'll show you that later. Like when I do luminosity masks, if you had to do that manually every single time, you'd probably quit doing retouching and color grading because it would take forever. Whereas if you have an action, you're going to essentially have it done very, very quickly, seamlessly, and it'll be good. So very cool. All right, so that's done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that folder real quick, and it's going to have my fixed texture, paint. Basically, this is a surface blur with a mask on it. And I'll show you that a little bit later because I'm going to actually remove that and apply my own because I like to do that independently depending on the subject matter, because some subjects need more correction with skin tones, like just the color in the skin, than others. This is very, very soft, light, so I don't think I'm going to have any issues, but I will be changing that later. The paint is actually really cool in that the texture up here is separated from the color, and that's what frequency separation does, is it gets this image, and then it basically goes and separates the texture from the color. So I can work on the color independently from the texture. So if I want to go and, for instance, say this was a beauty shot and it was, this model looking straight at camera, and I wanted to apply makeup like eyeshadow or something like that, I can go do so, and it's not going to affect the texture of her skin. So I don't need to do like overlays or screen or something like that that's going to really kind of mess up the overall look and feel of her face. It's actually going to be on the texture, and it's going to look very, very real, like pretty much like as if I took it out of camera. So, and that's the point. So, all right. So, right, cool. So fixed texture, so we're gonna go with that. Let's see, I have some different plugins and stuff that I've collected over the years that have helped me with different things. This is a retouching toolkit. I'm sure you can Google it. It does cost money, but it is worth, in my opinion, every single penny. So one of the first things that I do is called up to vertical, and what it does basically is it's almost like it clones the same image in a different window, and then it basically makes them side to side. So what I do with that is, with my magnifying glass, I'll click on, and this is just how I work. Like, I work on the one on, I guess it'd be my left, and then this one is my reference. So I'll go to this and I'll go to fit screen. And the reason I do fit screen is I want to see the composition as a whole. And I don't want that to ever change, right? And that way, when I go to this one and I'm starting to make tweaks and changes to the actual image, I can see what that's doing to the whole image. If you go and zoom in and you only have this, you might spend a whole slew of time, like on her upper torso, for instance. And then when you zoom out, you're like, oh my gosh, like I totally messed up the whole image or whatever because you took it too far. So seeing both at the same time is not only super cool, but it's really, really important, in my strong but humble opinion. So I work on a graphics tablet, and it helps me, I don't know, anybody that uses a mouse and stuff like that, like, more power to them. I know it can be done. There's a digital artist when I used to do digital art, like concept art for like video games and stuff like that. There's this one guy, his name is Craig Mullins, and he does the most amazing digital paintings, like freaking ever. Like, oh my God, just amazing artist. He literally doesn't use a graphics tablet. He uses a clicky mouse for every single brush stroke that he does in Photoshop. And like, if you like art, like go check out Craig Mullins, because oh my God, that guy is just, he's on another level. He always has been on another level. He understands fine art in a way that it's just astonishing. So Craig Mullins paints in Photoshop with a mouse, and he does so better than I don't know, any kind of gear that you can do to try to do better than that guy. Like, good luck. Like, he's amazing. Anyway, so enough gloating about a digital artist. Anyway, the end point basically is that I use a graphics tablet, and I like it because it's got pin pressure, so I can kind of really make subtle adjustments, and nothing gets clipped. It's not blotchy. This is the first time that I've really done soft light with a model that is freckled. And, you know, I mentioned this in my stream last night a little bit, but basically I was in Capture One and I was just going through all the images, you know, in the catalog or whatever, to just kind of refine my picks, or what I'm going to take to finals, or what could possibly be finals. And one of the things that I mentioned is that, you know, beauty marks on a freckled person, you know, are just that. They're beauty marks. You shouldn't be removing them, or I won't remove them. But if you look at color grading, right, and you look at the idea that you're going to, you know, when you do frequency separation or editing, you're going to essentially be removing distracting things or uneven things or something like that, right? This model doesn't have any blemishes at all. Very, very pretty skin, but nevertheless, some models do, and that's totally okay. It's just having a body. But like, you might be removing like blemishes or something like that, or I'll even use myself as an example when I do like self-portraits or something like that. I might, have clipped myself with a razor when I'm shaving or something like that, something really simple. Like, I'm going to go remove that because it's distracting. And it's not a mark that is inherent to what I am. It's a temporary mark. So, I always remove temporary marks, for the most part, and I leave beauty marks. And the challenging part with that, with this image, is going to be the idea that, I'm not just working with shadows, highlights, and midtones when I color grade. So evenness of the colors in the actual flesh tones. Well, now I have to be conscientious of all of her freckles, which are in her highlights, midtones, and her shadows, but they're all kind of different lights or whatever, or different hues. So I could go and shift to where, like, I want to remove reds, or I want to remove, oranges or yellows or something like that, and I might be taking away her beauty marks just by color grading, with with that particular color. So it'll be interesting to kind of go through this and figure out how I'm going to go about doing that. It might not be a big deal at all, but it might be. So we'll see. So, but yeah, the idea of retouching and cleaning the skin, if you will, is that I'm removing anything that's temporary. So it could be a cat scratch. My wife Danny, I shoot her quite often. Lovely skin, lovely skin. But we have a little kitty, right? And that little kitty will, tear up her arms sometimes. And, I just go and I do frequency separation, and I go and clean up her skin. And so that's what that is. It's just a skin cleanup. And you're removing anything that could be a distraction. So I talked to this model yesterday, and she made the comment about her fingernails. The idea that she didn't paint them before the shoot. So I might be touching them up, or I might not, especially with this image, because if you look at it, her nail polish doesn't show at all in that hand. And if anything, it would just be on her thumb on this one. So I might just do that really quick. So I'll give you, for instance, of like how I can do that. So like right here, the texture is going to be different on this line where the paint's kind of chipped a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll clean that up real quick, just so that there's not a texture difference, because I can go and color it thereafter. But if there's texture that's under it, that basically says that a chip is supposed to be there, I won't actually be able to introduce color and it look clean. So real quick, just removing the texture, and that's it, from where the cracks are, has already pretty much made it look like it's just a normal painted nail. So I might introduce color to that later, I might not, in that it's such a minuscule detail, but I will get the edge of her thumb real quick on a little bit of skin. So for anybody that's I guess, does retouch as well as photography. Be really gentle with, and I'm not trying to project or whatever, but how you treat other human beings with, a retouch or whatever. Like, we all have bodies, and with the naked eye, there's a lot of things that our eyes do not see whatsoever, but the camera does. And because the camera does, and it sends that information, and you can blow it up like a magnifying glass. Like, I don't know. I don't know about you, but like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be looked at like in a magnifying glass. Like not cool. So the way that I treat models and retouch, and now even streaming them, is that we have organic bodies, and those organic bodies are beautiful things, and you're doing an image that is on under a magnifying glass. So the only thing that you're fixing is the idea that you can see things in a magnifying glass that you couldn't see otherwise. And you're making it appear as though, I shouldn't have removed those, so I'm going to Control Z. You're making it appear as though you're looking at a picture with your naked eyes, and you can't see those things anyway, because that's actually the reality of the thing. So anyway, that's the way that I look at it. I've heard and listened to tutorials about people that do retouch, and it almost seems like it makes them uncomfortable to deal with like hair or something like that. And it's just like, oh my God, it's just a person with a body, and bodies do what they do. Don't worry about it. Anyway, tangent over. Okay. So for those of you watching, I think I have one right now, but nevertheless, I'm still currently new. I think this is my first kind of week with Twitch and streaming on YouTube as well. And what I'm going to do with that is pretty much talk the whole time. So even if I'm rambling, I'm just going to continue doing so. 'Cause at the very least, these videos I can go and turn into something else that might be insightful. So I'm going to go and do that sort of thing. But anyway, y'all are welcome to hit the chats. I'd love to answer questions or chat with y'all at any time. And in the meantime, I'm just going to retouch an image and talk your ear off, because that's how I roll. So I've noticed with legs, I guess males don't have to shave in our society, or don't feel the need to. I guess females don't either, but nevertheless, there's those pressures. When you shave, it's just like shave all the time. It's just like when you're shaving your face as a male, it kind of, you have your pores show, basically. So I'll go and remove anything that's basically large, if the person is intending to have that kind of clean shaven look, if you will. And then anything that I would assume that they'd want me to remove, and it is an assumption, I'll remove that as well. All right, cool. All right, so fingernail is finished. I don't know whether I want to go and repolish the shoes. Like we kind of discussed yesterday, that it's a look, if you will. So I'm not entirely sure. you know, if I want to go play with the contrast, basically, of, you know, I live my life and I freaking totally play in my platforms all the time. Or if I want to do this super, super clean thing. I don't know. So I'll actually get a second opinion. Hey, love,
Yeah.
come here real quick.
So the shoes.
Yeah,
How was the shoes?
yeah. No, it's the sides of the shoes and stuff.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So clean them up or,
I think if you can clean them up and make them look good, I think
yeah.
you should do it.
Okay. Okay, cool. So it definitely would like match the dress and stuff, right?
I just
Okay.
sometimes feel bad about the shoes because like it's such a look.
Oh yeah. Well, either way is like cool because you could go make that a look. So when I color grade later, right? I would just incorporate that into the story. It's just I'm retouching right now, so it's like, okay, do I want to do a base or do I want to, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, I think you should.
okay, cool. All right, super cool. All right, so I consulted the Oracle, my creative muse, and the creative muse basically said, clean the damn shoes. So I'm going to clean the damn shoes. All right, so I'm going to go back to up to or two up vertical. Again, that just helps me kind of see what I'm doing, both with the entire composition as well as what I'm focusing on. So a lot of this is like not texture, right? So there might be some skids or whatever where there's some like damage to the actual shoe. Like I'm not sure about this right here because it's a stripe. And this right here, you know, that might have actually changed the texture of it. But a lot of this in here might very well be texture. So what I can do is I can skip straight to, what did I do? Why did I do that? All right, so make sure you're on the right settings before you click off. Is the heel brush tool, basically, is what I use for frequency separation. So when I'm up on this texture layer, it's the current layer. I do diffusion at 5. It makes it softer, so you're not clipping or making any kind of thing that looks like a brush stroke, if you will. It kind of blends in with the environment around it. And then when I'm on the paint layer, right, I'm gonna go current and below. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna sample on the current layer, the paint layer, but also the layers below it to make sure I can get my color information. So what I'll do is I'll see what is texture and what is color real quick by going over this. So the idea that I can't clean this right here means it's texture. Okay, so same thing. So I was able to lighten this, so it's half and half, right? So same kind of thing over here. And what I'll do is I'll do this strip really quick, and then I'll go back to texture, and I'll see what the difference is, the believability is, and all that good stuff. And if it's a thing, then I'll go make it a thing with the entire shoe. If it's not a thing, then it's no harm, no foul. And I'll go make it a look. And presto. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing some clean ass shoes, or at least thus far. So when you get next to like solid lines and stuff like that, it gets a little bit tricky. So I'm gonna go kind of zoom that in a little bit. See, this is where I kind of messed up, as I sampled from the wrong kind of areas. So I'm gonna backtrack that, And again, this is why I like to zoom in to the degree that I do when I do. All right, so we're gonna go back to color real quick. Zoom back in, I keep doing that. All right, so back to color, current and below, and then all right, cool. All right, so we'll go current layer. I'm gonna make my brush size a little bit smaller, and then go take away that little dent that I just made. So, as with Twitch, I'm also fairly new to Instagram, and Instagram is kind of where I'm putting a lot of my finals. They're a little bit kind of cropped in, but nevertheless, it's like what my end edits are. And I'm currently building on that platform as a way of like almost like the social media of things or whatever. So if you ever want to check it out, the link's on my About page on Twitch. All right, cool. So if I go to this real quick and zoom out one time, so just that strip. So I don't care really about like super perfect, in that it's not the entire subject of what I'm after. I just don't want to make it distracting, so I'm getting rid of distractions, and that's it. Right, so I'm gonna move on. Let's see. Let's actually make that a little bit cleaner. Cool. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next little strip. And again, when I went and did that color pass, a lot of it actually was a texture. Cool. All right, so we'll clean this up really quick. All right, very cool. Yay. All right, so next one. I am gonna do the color first. I like doing that because sometimes you can go and, like I do the opposite on the face. I'll always do texture and then color. But with this, I wanna do the opposite, because what I wanna do is essentially make it so that when I go to texture, I'm pulling from the right texture. With the face and anatomy, I already kind of know that, but you know, this is a synthetic material, and I'm not used to dealing with it. So I want to do the color first, and then because when I do the color first, it's going to give me that white, right, or that creamy shoe look. I'll do the texture after, and that way it's going to remove all of kind of the wear and tear of, this person's travel, this model's travels. But at the same time, like, I can see that my textures are going to be accurate, and that's, to me, is important. So another cool thing about the paint layer is if you ever have like any trouble getting the color that you want, you can actually get the paintbrush and sample that way. I would just make it really soft when you do so. Right, so let's go to this texture again. I'm gonna go current layer. I'm gonna laugh so hard if I just did that whole thing in current layer. Okay, seems to be removing right away. All right, so I'm gonna sample from this part of the shoe over here, just because it seems to be the same type of thing. What's going to be perhaps a very difficult cleanup is going to be where there's this honeycomb over here. I'm not sure how that's going to go. That might be just a ton of fun to do. But at the same time, it's there's a problem with design or with color and stuff like that. There's oftentimes a solution, so I'll go find it and I'll do it anyway. And I guess in the process, if I encounter something like that in the future, hopefully I'll know how to address it. Super cool. All right, so that's a lot closer, a lot more even. Let's see what we can do to play with this sort of thing. So I want to say, there we go. And this is where you run into lines. So I'll do basically a stroke at a time, but I'm removing my pen from the tablet on every stroke, and that way I can go and do undo if I go one stroke too far without undoing the whole thing. Whereas if you just kind of scribble, it'll take back the entire thing. So I'll take it kind of up to the edge and stop. And then I'll show you what I do with a brush really quick. All right, cool. So after that, I would essentially go to the brush, sample a color, obviously wrong. Let's see. That's not gonna work either. Oh, it would help if I was on paint, huh? That's why. Okay. So I'll sample a color. And I can go right up to that edge now. Kind of clean that up. All right, cool. All right, so let's see. All right, so that's a substantial difference. And we'll just keep going, kind of going from there. All right, so how do we want to play? Well, let's see, let's do this first. I don't think I've done this one yet, so. Top of the shoe. All right, so let's go to color, layer and below, and let's see if I can do anything with this at all. Let's see where all this is going to be. So this is like all texture. Right, how do I want to troubleshoot that? Let's go. Let's do this. So let's go to a gradient map. And we'll play with this one. Oops. And we're just going to go white to black. And then so I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off or not, but it doesn't hurt to try. So let's go. So gradient map might be the wrong one. So the super tricky part is that there's a honeycomb on it. So and I don't really want to jack up that texture, but at the same time, let's get this background copy. And then we'll go and we'll get darks. Oh, okay, I see why. Right, so let's go to the darks real quick. bit of the one real quick. And then let's do, that's annoying. So lighten real quick. And then what we could do with that is we can go put that in a folder, group it, put a mask on it, and turn that off real quick. We'll go to here, and then let's see. Might be time to change up the music in a second. Let's play. What kind of mood am I in? What kind of mood are y'all in? Alright, we'll just do some kind of chill beat type stuff. Alright, very cool. Alright, so where were we? We were in a selection mask. So oops. I'm actually going to deselect that, and then I'm going to go to select subject. Oops. And it selected the shoes. Okay, cool. So let's see, we'll go to this group, and then we'll do Control I, which will separate the mask. Turn that on, and then we'll Control I again, and then that should just apply it to the subject, and then or perhaps not. Huh. Alright, let's do this. So sometimes it's troubleshooting. So why did that escape into the background? No bother. So let's go. Go to group. Turn that on. There we go. All right, much better. All right, cool. So what we could do from here is we could get a brush. There's a million ways to do this. Like if you ever watch other retouchers, you can use the pen tool, you can use channels, you can do all sorts of things. I think because I'm not pursuing retouch, as it were, per se, like as a kind of career field or job title or anything else like that, I think I'm going to leave the super heavy duty stuff to those guys. Alright, cool. Alright, so let's get back to where we were. And the funny thing is this could or could not help entirely. Oops. Let's get this brush smaller. Oops. Right. So that's what I like about Photoshop, but it's also what I like about a lot of like kind of heavy duty, what are considered like industry standard programs. So it might be like, if you're in the 3D sphere, it might be, you know, ZBrush and, you know, or it might be like Maya or Studio Max or something like that. You know, in photography, it'd be likened to Photoshop and Capture One. Yeah, but there's exceptions. point is that there's a million different ways to do any one thing in these types of programs. So figuring out what works for you and your workflow and your time constraints and your look, it's just kind of what you're doing. So that's kind of cool. All right, so let's go back to brush. Okay, so I'm gonna go back from 100, and then I'm gonna take that for flow, put it back down to about 12. The reason I do that is it makes it so if I do, for whatever reason, bleed into the fabric or the skin or the backdrop, because these are such subtle colors that I'm using, I'm not really using loud colors at all. I can work a tad bit messier and kind of get away with it. You're not going to see clipping, you're not going to see banding, you're not going to see halos or anything like that. If I was going to print like large scale or something like that, that's subject to change. Because at that point it kind of does, you know, by and large need to be pixel perfect in that, you know, I don't know, I mean the arch of her shoe or the sole of her shoe might be, you know, blown up to the size of a human being, and at that point you could kind of see everything. So I do understand when people go super heavy into retouch and they literally go to make it pixel perfect, as it were. Alright, so let's see, I'm going to go around it really quick and do the fill in, and then there's things like right here in the teeth of the sole. I'll go and remove that because it's bled into the actual backdrop. So time will tell if all of this will be worth it. It really just depends. I think once I go to kind of clip out the backdrop and start messing with that a little bit, that's where I'll kind of know. So funny, it's like the of all the keyboard shortcuts, I think the move tool is my favorite. Right, so I'm gonna take that back to 100 and literally make sure that I get every little color of her hand and flesh tones back. And then when I get to the edge of it, that's where I'll go back to kind of a flow that's down to, you know, about anywhere from 3 to like 12%, and just kind of feather it the rest of the way. Just kind of make sure I'd almost, actually gonna do this, I'm gonna recover the entire hand and feather the shoe instead. The skin's more important to me, I think. it's always like when I do edits and I do different types of things, I think skin is fascinating. I think it's because it's got so many different colors in it. Like, if you've ever blown up an image to see, like, what a pale person is made out of, it's like, wow, they have like 50 different colors in their face, And it's the same for every other complexion. Just different colors. So as far as color's concerned, nature and being a human is a very beautiful thing. Very cool. All right, let's get this back off of the laces. And again, I'll go back and kind of feather that out real quick, but right now I just want to really kind of establish the mask and make sure all of that stuff is super good to go. All right, very cool. All right, so burr. So I don't know if I'll be able to actually finish this one today. I'm going to do a photo shoot here in about, 30 minutes to an hour or something like that, and then that'll be as far as I get. But at the same time, like, having a lot of this stuff like super prepped and ready for the next session will be cool. It's kind of a busy day as far as edits and going through catalogs and all that good stuff. I did a completed image a couple hours ago, and then I had to go through this photo shoot and find all of the potential images that I would take to finals, or basically that just had potential for whatever date they get complete, and that there were a lot of them. So I think that's the problem I have. Like anytime I shoot Danny, my wife, and stuff like that, it gets bogus because I'm just like, oh my God, there's so many and they're good, and I'm starting to realize that this is going to be a problem that I have, especially with people that are interested in modeling and or they're good at it, right? Is like you get to a point where it's just like, I don't know, the difference between a great image and a good image is, it's like a blurry line, like it's hard to tell. So I'm going to take this back down to 12 as far as my flow, so I could kind of feather it out. I'd rather go into the shoe a little bit because it would almost be like, dimensionality, if you will. As far as like having a little bit darker tone on the edge, might look like a shadow or something like that. Whereas if you let it go into the background, especially if you change the background color, you're going to end up with a halo because this overlay that I'm doing with the shoe is white. So careful. All right, so kind of curious. what degree I want to brighten this shoe. So, because it might be subtle, you know, I literally might take it off entirely, I'm not sure. But what I like to do is I like to establish masks first. And just kind of play with that. I really need to get competent with using the pen tool. Just one of those things where I just don't want to. I don't know. It's not that it's daunting. I mean, you're using quick keys to bend the curve and, you know, just make it really clean and stuff like that. I just don't know if it would take the romance out of editing photos that meticulously, even though it might be faster. You know, my background is painting, right? So if I'm painting a mask, you know, I'm painting, so cut and dry. And I actually really enjoy that process, even if it does take longer. So, you know, what are you to do? I don't know. And of course, I hit the wrong button and ended up going to crop instead. All right, cool. So all right, so I got to figure out what I want to do with this. So before I even go to the second mask of the second shoe, I'm going to figure out if this is even a thing. So let's go and finish this really quick. Let's get it the rest of the way clean. And then who knows, maybe, oh, I did it again. Why did I keep doing that? So let's get a brush. Haha. Okay, I just learned something new. If you accidentally hit C for crop, but you don't actually put the cursor onto the screen with a mouse click or your pen, it won't actually go into a cropping mode. Cool. I don't know why, but that just made me super happy. All right, so let's go kind of play with this real quick and see what happens. So right now, the actual group is on pass-through, right? And if I go to this color grading, what do I want to do with it? All right, so white. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's get a photo filter. We'll go clip it to this layer. And then I wonder, so if I got a normal, it's very strange. All right, cool. So let's see. What to do, what to do. All right, so instead of clipping it to the layer below, because that's only going to give me that, let's actually scratch that too. Let's do a gradient. So we'll go gradient map. Oh, that's kind of cool. Give her some black kicks. Oh, black kicks with that's so fun. Oh man. I'm ridiculous. All right, so gradients are super cool for various reasons. I kind of liked the black. Wow.
Caught behind Venetian blinds, out of reach for the city lights. This ain't where I belong.
Huh.
Hey, look at me, man, what I've become. I've been running east, looking for a sunset, digging deep since '99.
So, see if we can find a cream. Something that actually kind of makes sense, because these are super loud and they also don't. Let's go. So that's, he said is white. Alright, so. I kinda like that. Alright, so again, we're playing, so I'm gonna play. And I'm not even gonna apologize about it.
Don't look before you leave. What you give, you get to keep. So long, farewell, bye-bye.
So I kind of feel like I just made Bob Ross like fashion or something like that with happy little accidents. I have no idea if I'm going to be able to pull this off with the whole composition. Really don't know. But for some reason, I kind of feel like it's edgy for some reason. It's also cool because it also kind of flagged where all I made mistakes. So again, when you're using colors that are close to the background and other fabrics and skin tones, you can get away with a lot. But as soon as you go to saturated colors or the opposite color or lack thereof color, black, it's going to show up everywhere. So you actually need to have a really clean mask if you're going to do that. Or it's going to look photoshopped. And who wants that? Well, I guess all my work looks photoshopped. I don't know how you would get any of my work at a camera like that, but who knows these things? Let's see. Okay. So, more refined mask, here we come. Cool. So I think think with like shooting, like I was trying to figure out like what I'm more in love with, like actually doing the photography, like the actual photo shoot, or bringing the images to life. Because I get to basically get somebody and go get their likeness, if you will, put them in my imagination, and then let my imagination just kind of play and see what happens. And that's always I don't know, it's a worthwhile little endeavor to me. But at the same time, I love photo shoots as well, because I like the kind of sense of working with other people and laughing a whole bunch and having fun.
Take your time. I'm not gonna make you climb down. Digging deep down to turn up. You say I'm not your kind. Come on, you didn't think I would find out.
So with this being black, I actually might have more options. With the overlays and stuff like that, because there's things that I can do to it. So let's see, what am I doing? So I need to add color here.
It's no crime in letting your desires show now. We both know you can hold out, and it's plain to see how you need me. Lead with temptation, come back to me. Beneath the floorboards, way buried deep down. Will you always come back around? Don't you love? There's more than meets the eye, you see. You're not what you appear to be. They don't know you like I do. No one knows but me.
So I think images, when you go to kind of tell stories, like sometimes like playing with colors is a good way to do that. That's how my mind understands the world, is shapes and colors. It gives like a degree of context, however subtle. And I think it makes me fall in love with life and nature all the time. It's just seeing all the patterns everywhere. It's like the kaleidoscope of life. It's very cool. I dig it a lot. Alright, so kind of a more refined mask, and then again I'm gonna tweak the colors just a little bit and see if I'm going to actually be sold on black or not. I don't know if black is going to be a risky thing as far as like presenting an image. But I don't like the idea of playing it safe with images either. Like if it's coherent, it makes sense. Like, you know, I think the more that it makes sense, like, you know, even if it's nonsensical, like it's practical, I guess. You know, in some kind of design sense, I think you can get away with being edgy or doing edgy things, or having edgy combinations of things. So we shall see.
There's no need to pretend that you don't when you do. I really want to know, so throw me aside and show me you.
Okay, so I'm reasonably okay with that for now. And again, let's play again. I actually don't mind that compositionally at all. I think that's kind of rad. Would be interesting if I can play a little bit more. So we'll go, maybe try a photo filter again. We'll go crank it. Maybe get it to where, like, if it is black, like if I'm gonna roll with that, at least it's not like, I don't know, there's a hue in it basically that I can use later to start the conversation with other colors. Yeah, so it's not like it's like I'm wearing black, but I'm wearing a pretty black, so that's super cool. Alright, so I don't like the overlay or color filter, so let's play with do I need to do another gradient? I'm not sure.
Please don't keep me far away for too long. Please don't keep me far away for too long. You can't keep me far away for long.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to play this way or not. So let's see. Oops. I'll take that to about 50. All right, so let's see. So I know I don't want that. That's too white. So let's get this. Huh. Alright, so texture. I'm fairly stumped, to be quite honest. So a big thing that I don't want is I don't want it to look fake. So what I do like though, can I show you something? So I'm consulting the muse again.
I like them better white.
So white, okay. So I was thinking about some kind of edgy thing and stuff like that. So real quick, so this is, I go back to this, go reverse again. Turn it back on. Then I think I had it at, I'm sorry. So about 50%. So you have believability, but at the same time. So like, so if you take this whole thing off, like look at this top shoe. So, but I almost feel like I dulled them out.
They got a little more dull, but they're cleaner.
Yeah. Is it necessary? That's what I'm saying.
To do anything?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. They're a little dirty.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep playing. Like the problem that I was having is like where the sole of the shoes are, like this check or this
Oh, I think.
honeycomb.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not the color, but the texture. The texture is.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what you already did is an improvement, so.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just play with that then. All right, guys. Well, I got about 10 more minutes in me, and then I'm going to shut it down for the night. Yeah, and I'm going to go do a photo shoot because that'd be super fun. All right. So let's get this at least to where the other one. I am going to turn it back to black for a second so that I can make sure I got my mask right with this other foot. Cool. All right, let's do it. So X. Oh no. So what I love about kind of shooting friends and people in my general area that I get to meet and interact with and stuff is that I get to build a network of friends and do cool stuff with them, artistic, creative stuff, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, you need to have the modeling agency and stuff like that, like everything's like perfect then. And it's just like, I agree, that's cool for like commercial shoots and stuff. But I think if I had that right off the bat, sure, that's cool, but at the same time, maybe I don't learn what to do with shoes in this instance. So, but I don't know, I don't mind at all, is my point. It's just part of the process. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the ride. So I think my Twitch schedule, like I've completely blown that out of the water. I think I'm supposed to do like Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at like between 4 and 6. And I'm just like, I got a lot to do. So I'm just going to stream whenever I can. And at the very least, even if I'm not going according to a schedule, as it were, at the very least, I'm practicing doing it. So, practicing doing a lot of things at the same time. So, one of the first streams that I did, I think it was like last week, there was a mask I was doing, and it was the same kind of principle, like, of today, because I'm not using a pen tool and channels. I really want to be able to see where my mask is. So I'll either use a very saturated color, if not like straight like neon, or in this case, it just happened to be black because I was experimenting with black anyway. So, or I guess 75% gray currently. And it just makes it so that I can go into a reasonably clean mask, or at least enough to where it's not going to create halos or cause me problems later on in the edit or in the retouch. So this is where I'm gonna feather it down. Got about 17's fine. So sometimes I really like doing this sort of thing under the texture. I just like the result a little bit better. Alright, cool. So I think that's pretty sharp. I gotta get rid of some of this real quick. All right, so let's go back to that gradient again. We'll reverse it again. All right, we're white again. And we have reasonably presentable sneakers that I can go further into the color grading process with. And I don't think it'll cause too much issue. I do want to play with the texture really quick before I shut it down for the evening, and that way I can move on to the next stage right off the bat, and I don't end up forgetting that I didn't even do the texture on the other one. So a lot of, damn it, go back to brush. I've noticed when I see things that I missed, just stop what you're doing and fix it right then and there. And the worst thing in the world is not seeing something, however small, and then making a stamp of your image where you kind of collapse all the layers. And then realizing what you did later. It's fixable, but save yourself some grief and just do it right then.
I've been thinking of how to leave you, just to leave you first.
All right, cool. So we'll go back to texture again. We're gonna move back. Yeah. So current layer. I'll clean this up again. Hello. Can you do that comment thing again real quick? I wonder if I have it so like, you know, if people aren't subscribed, they can't comment or something. I don't know. I'll have to look at the settings. Huh? Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, what I'm saying is it not allow people that aren't following me to actually comment? Yeah. All right. So you showed up. So I don't know. Either people are being quiet or either way. Cool beans. Well, if you could hear this and you want to chat, you're welcome to. If you don't have that ability, I will try to figure out why and fix it later, or as soon as I can. So I'm really kind of glad that I live in the time that I do. I think if I lived in another era, I'd probably just be a painter. I spent many years painting, and I really enjoy it. But I think what you could do now with creativity and technology is pretty insane. It's kind of weird, but like when you're retouching, like what you decide to leave and what stays and why. Yeah, it's always, I guess, a fun little thought. That's kind of cool. I dig it. All right. Home stretch. I'm actually really, really excited because whenever I shoot, I get to go and have a tequila. I like tequila. My little photography shot. Cool beans. I missed it. There we go. I think this is pretty okay, you know. I think when I go and start really color grading and stuff, like, it'll just kind of bleed into everything that's going on. So I'm not terribly concerned. But yeah, I think that's definitely cool. So if you're interested,
So you live in the dream. You should see it through someone else's
all right.
eyes.
So I think that's totally workable. I'm going to keep this as a file folder hierarchy and make sure that I don't delete it. And that way, if I don't like it or if it looks fake or tacky or something like that, I can always reapproach it. So I'd almost be curious if, let's see, I wonder if I went and grabbed All right, if I grabbed the, what was that? So that would be that punchy, that would be that one, and that would be that one. Okay, so I'm halfway curious if I did this and then I went to brightness and contrast. Right, so that's number 1. So I did that on light map 1. Let's go to 2. Do the same thing. And let's see if we could get it to pop to where it's not flat anymore, it's set dimensional. So we'll go and do it one more time. This time we'll actually select it, grab this, all right. All right, so that actually looks reasonably like a shoe. Proper. Let's go to darks. Darks. Okay. Lightness, contrast. All right, I think I can take that. All right, that's a fair enough base. So anyway, I'm gonna stop right there and yeah, just kind of call it a night. Vast majority of that With skin, her clothes are just fine. Her flesh tones are also fine. So all I gotta do is hit the backdrop, reapproach the shoes if need be. I think that's the only thing I'm gonna have trouble with this image. Yeah, and then just kind of go from there. So super cool. All right, so yeah. All right, well, y'all be good, have fun, and I'm gonna get out of here.